Okay, according to our schedule, I think we're on chapter 6, which is function or fruitful functions in the book. If you look at this, this is basically the assignments you've already done. Remember we did all the math stuff?
Oh, yeah.
That's what this is. It's just how to create functions. Okay, really nothing new here. Okay, you can make functions that take arguments. You can make functions that return values. You can. So we really have already covered all this material, but I highly recommend you read through it. I'm just not going to go through it all because we've pretty much done this whole chapter already. Okay. They talk about debugging with print. I don't know if you notice, whenever we write programs, a lot of times we'll print out other stuff just to see what the values are at that point. It's always a good idea to print stuff out to see what you're doing. And then you can always remove that later. But we've already pretty much done this. You all agree with that statement? We've pretty much done different math functions? Okay. There's also Boolean functions that can return true or false. Y'all know what Boolean is, don't you? That's true or false, yes or no, on or off, whatever. It's one or the other. So in this case, true or false. So just a bunch of different types of functions. One thing we haven't focused on too much, but I've been trying to start doing, is style. Obviously, I have the good style when it comes to shirts, but no. Leaving blank lines, adding comments, adding prologues, proper naming convention is all kind of. It's not that it's important, it will work without it, but it just makes it so much easier to understand. Okay? Your import statement should be at the top. You know how I mentioned, I think last time, how I'd like your functions all defined at the top, even though we found out that we could do them below. I like them at the top. It's just better if you do it that way. Okay? Imagine walking into Walmart and stuff was just thrown everywhere. Well, that's how it normally is. But it shouldn't be that way. So I was looking for a Tupperware container or some sort of container to hold something. They must have them in 20 different places. They're literally everywhere. It's like, why aren't they all in one place? But writing a program, if you keep to a style, like here, 2 blank lines before and after. It's just easier to know that, hey, this is a specific function I'm looking at. Okay? Just makes it easier to understand. Okay? And when testing, test it excessively. A lot of you got marked off for your programs crashing when I entered Q. Even if you modified it to accept 0, the requirement said Q. Well, we're going to fix that. Just not at this moment. Yes?
Yeah, on mine it works on my Mac, but it doesn't work on your computer, I guess.
Wow. Literally, if you hit Q, it works great? Yeah, because I think, didn't I run it a second time, told you it still crashes or something?
Yeah.
We'll have to look at it. But we're going to walk through there, just not today, okay? So someone needs to remind me how to fix that. But we really haven't got into error checking yet, but we're going to cover that in a minute. Okay, not this minute, but soon. So that's pretty much chapter 6. We've really done all of this already. Now, let's look at 7. We've already talked about a lot of this as well. We've already talked about assignment statements. We've already talked about printing variables. We've already talked about assigning values to variables. So if I was you, I'll be looking through these chapters. They are so easy to read. Has anyone actually looked through these? One or a couple of you have? Read through them. They're so super easy to read. Like, how many of you are cyber majors in here? A couple of you? Handful of you? There's a book I want all the students. It's called Crypto. In the past, it has not been required, and no one's reading it. Well, now it's required. The deal is it explains it so well, and I can tell when people take my test, if they've read the book, they do so much better because it's kind of like a story format, and it's just read through this stuff. It's not difficult. You can go through an entire chapter walking through every exercise in a matter of minutes. Maybe an hour if you're slow. Okay? What the good thing is, they even tell you, hey, this is what this error looks like. Here's why it did this, and all that kind of stuff. Okay? They talk about for loops, how to use them with a list. We're actually going to do this today. They talk about while statements. So please just walk through these. We're going to go through some more of the stuff, but I wanted to walk through a different exercise today because you need it for your homework. So we'll probably do a little bit of chapter 7 later, but for the moment, I want to work on a program. Okay? Follow along with me. Now, what should be at the top of our program?
Name.
What's it called, though? It's the thing at the very top. What's it called?
Prologue.
Prologue. Very good. So this is our prologue. In my prologue, I'm going to put my name. I'm going to put the name of my file, and it's going to be, what is the date? Let's say October 16 in class.py. Why would I put the name of a file in there? Anybody? Right, especially if this file ends up being 5,000 lines long. It's nice to know, and especially if the file gets deleted. When you take my forensics courses, you'll realize sometimes when a file's been deleted, when you recover it, you don't get the name, but you get the contents. So now we know what the name is because we're putting in the contents of it. We could put the date. That's spelled CIT. And probably what this program is going to do. This program is going to create a list and output parts of it. Just a real brief description of what this program does. Now, obviously you don't know what it does yet because we haven't done it. But just upon that, we know we're going to create a list and we're going to do something with it. You know, I mean, it drives me crazy when students put in, like when I assign a program to you, don't take what I tell you to do and put it in there. That's not what you do. Don't. It's a pet peeve of mine. Okay. I want to create a variable called books. Okay. We're going to make a book. We're going to call it Tom Sawyer. So what did that line of code do? Anybody? What type of variable is it, first of all?
String.
It's a string. And the string, we use the assignment operator, so we assign Tom Sawyer to books. How can I tell if this actually worked?
Run it and see.
I can run it, so I'm going to run this sucker. And, got to give it a name. And we called it October 16 in class, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, I got to write. Do you want to? No, I got to save it in a different folder. I got to put it on my desktop in my fundamentals class. There you go. All right, I ran it.
Type book.
Type Tom Sawyer.
Oh, type what now?
Type books or type Tom Sawyer.
Can't type Tom Sawyer. What happens if I do it like this? I don't know. I've never tried this actually. Okay. Just wanted to see what it was going to do. Okay. So if I type books, you know, books has the value of Tom Sawyer in it. Easy enough. I could also, like I was saying in chapter 6 there, you could print out books. It's a good idea if you do something like this. Now you can be, hey, you know what? It actually worked. It assigned the value of Tom Sawyer, and I printed it out. You can remove it later very simply. It's just, you know, is it working? So I'm going to move this down a little, and I'm going to comment it out because I'm going to use it again here in a minute. But I want to create another variable. Books equals... Actually, I'm going to put this one inside of square brackets. What does that mean? More than one, or it's a list. By the way, these names I'm putting in here are not mine. 'Cause I-
Oh.
No, I read it. I've read crypto. I've read a lot of computer books, but read Misery. So what did this line of code do? It created a list. But what happened to our original one?
It got overridden.
It got overwritten. So this first line of code says, create me a variable called books, assign Tom Sawyer to it. Then this one says, no, we're going to override it. So now let's see what happens when I print books this time. Look at that. Now it actually prints out a list. The reason I know it's in a list is it's in square brackets. And by giving it just print books, it prints out the entire list. Easy enough. So now we created a list with values and we printed them, yes.
What's the difference between the single doubles?
Nothing. One's really a
Okay.
literal and one's an actual string. So
Okay.
in different languages it matters. In Python it doesn't right now.
Okay.
I know it kind of freaked me out when I first started to. I'm like, what? Because like in Java, that means it's a character. But not here. Not here. Okay. All right. So we got that printed out just fine. Okay. Now let's. I'm gonna move them up. We know that part's working. Let's do this again. Books equals books plus Jaws misery it. Those are the books I read. Actually, I didn't read Jaws. So what did this do now?
It's added it onto the end.
So I added on. So if I if I run this again,
You printed it out before you added it.
oh, 'cause I can't tell. So is there a way I could tell right here if it did it? Sure, just type books. See, what I did was I printed books before I added the additional values. So now I can actually take this. Actually, can I in this one? I can't in this editor. Sometimes you can actually just take it and drag it down, but you can't in here. So I'm going to delete it, put it down here. Now it'll be the same. Okay. Alright, so now we have our updated books list. Now has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items in it. Alright? Everybody with me so far? Okay. Let's go through. Actually, let's find out how many books are in there. Did anyone know the method to find out how many books are in a list?
I don't know what.
How about
it is.
it's length, L-E-N.
Okay.
I know it's dot length in another
Yeah.
language, but not in this. So this way, what should this tell me?
How many things are in it?
Should tell me there's 7 of them.
Yep.
And sure enough, there's 7 of them. Okay, so it's working fine. We're on track. Now I want to go through these. So let's do a while loop. While I is less than the length of books. Print I books I.
Do you have to make it length minus 1 or not?
Nope, just do it like this for the moment. And then I plus equals 1. Ooh, does that work in here? We're going to find out. I'm going to run this, see if it works. Alright, got a problem initially. We need to figure out how to fix it. First of all, what is this error telling me? I is not defined. Which line is it referring to where I is not defined? Line 13. So if I was to go look at line 13, now if I go here, and if I make this, I can actually see it on the screen, it should show me the line number at the bottom corner. Did y'all do that? Let me make it a little bit smaller. So down in the bottom right hand corner, when I'm on this while line, I can see I'm at 13. So I has not been defined. So how can I fix that? Done. I is equal to 0. Now I has a value. Let's see if that fixed it. Whoa, it worked. Now why is Tom Sawyer 0 and not 1?
Because lists start at 0.
Because lists start at 0. Most languages, your list and your arrays and everything start at 0. But in this case, technically, where is that 0 coming from? It's coming from I, which is just a variable that we assigned a 0 to. Could I have said I is 5? So really we could do, we could put whatever we want, but when we go to print it, what it's doing is it's taking this value and then it's referencing that index number, which we need 0 in this case. But if I put 1, obviously it would start at the first one and so on and so forth. Okay? It's just set it at 0. I know I'm changing it too fast for you guys. Okay? So everybody got this? I thought that didn't work. Oh, it was the incrementer, the plus plus that didn't work. Let me make sure. So I can't do this.
Wish.
I wish I could. No, can't. Darn it. That drives me crazy. I hate that.
So it's just showing how many books there are, and then these are
What that's doing is it's going through my list of books and just displaying all the books on the screen. Okay? Starting at 0, because we set it at 0, and going all the way up until the length of the books. In this case, it says I is less than length. And what was length? 7. So we know that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's why we wanted to start at 0. We're going as long as it's less than the length. Okay. So far so good. We know how to create a list. We've done it before because we used a list of colors before. So we have a list of books. We've added to it if we wanted to. We know how to check the length. And we know how to iterate through the list using a loop. Sound good? That's called iterating through the list, by the way. You didn't know that. Okay. Now there's one thing we haven't done yet. Okay, I'm going to bring this up to the top. There's something called slices in Python. In other languages, it's called substrings. But actually, before I do that, I'm yelling at you guys about now having comments. Is there any code here that might possibly need a comment?
The wall.
Probably the while loop. Look at it this way. Okay, I could probably figure out what this first line's doing. I could probably even figure out the second line. Most people end up commenting out the first couple lines, then they stop after that. But this while loop is the one that's a little bit confusing. So what would a comment be for that while loop?
That it prints out all of the names or something.
Or how about
And
loop
numbers.
through the list, printing out each item. Close enough, just so you get a general idea. Think of it, if you have a friend that's not in this class, could they read that and kind of get an idea of what it did? They don't need to know exactly. So basically what this was for is if later on you wanted to look at this, if you haven't had Python for 2 years, could you look at that and say, oh, that's right, I was looping through the books list and printing them out. Again, this is elementary stuff, but when you get more complicated, like I showed you some of mine, they get very complicated and they're hard to edit later on. Okay, so you don't need a comment on every line, but I'd say at least every 10 lines should have a comment. Now, I have had students who literally write a comment for every single line. Is that good or bad?
that could be. It depends.
It's better than nothing.
It's better than no comments, but sometimes it's redundant. Like I is equal to 0. Assign the value of 0 to the variable I. I mean, you could do that, but is it really needed every single time? Probably not. But I don't take off for that, by the way. All right, so now I'm going to do something here, something different. SBook equals books. I want to do 1, 5. Or 1:5. Sorry. Okay.
When you put a space in between the plus and equal sign, it gives you an syntax error.
Because when they're together, it's called a compound operator. When they're not together, it was trying to take I and add an equal sign to it. Yeah, they have to be together in that case. Now, you can, or, here you could have spaces if you want, but in the middle of it, between the plus and the equals, there can't be a space. Okay? So, this is called a slice. Okay? This says, go to the books list and get elements 1 through 5 and store it in a brand new list. So let's print out that list. Print SBook. So what do you think, based on my list, what's it going to print?
Twilight through misery.
Twilight through Misery. That's what I'm thinking. Let's see what we get. Twilight through Jaws. Why didn't we get Misery? Because it doesn't include the last
Does
one.
it stop before?
Yeah, it stops before it.
Oh,
Yeah, it stops right before it. Let's test that theory. Let's change it to a 4. So if that theory is true, it should do Where's Waldo then stop, correct? Yep,
yep.
that's what it is. So it started at 1, which is Twilight, and it stops prior. It's the same way Java does the same thing. When you do substring, it's up to, but not including this number. I kind of think it should include it, but that's not me. It's somebody else. Okay, so let's put it back to 5, just so we all are on the same page here. Now, I could print out a string in here. I could say sub list. Now it's going to show me a subset, or a, not subset, slice of our list. Okay. All right, now let's print out the first book. How can I print out the first book? Anybody? How do I send it to a variable? What do you think?
Book
Book
bracket
zero.
1.
Okay. Books, brackets,
1. Or 0.
0. There you go. Books, bracket 0, because lists start at 1. And what would the last book be?
6.
6. Alright, now I want to print out the first book and the last book. Print. Okay. So what should it print? Tom Sawyer and it. Does it work?
Oh.
Tom Sawyer and it. So did we correctly print out the first and the last book?
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody agree with that?
Well, it depends if we add it onto the list.
Yeah, because you know what? I just read another book.
So you would have to put len books -1, right?
Or just go and add to the code another book that you read.
I did. I just added my other book. I added crypto up there. But now when I print it, the last book in the list is it. Is the last book it?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. So is it a good idea to hard code a last value?
No.
No.
How can we fix that?
Put the length -1.
I can put the link to -1 or -1.
Whoa.
Ah, just -1 will give you the last element in the
Because
list.
it's the, okay.
Just put the -1.
Like,
So,
a book.
see, because it really sucks when you hard code stuff. Okay? So far, so good. Everybody's got that?
I think so.
So how would you get it to print out the third book, regardless of what your list is?
The third book, oh, you mean, because if you add books at the beginning, that'll screw it up. That would be possible. I mean, because if I give it the number, that's the third book. But if I add, you see, the book could change depending on, like, so if I run this,
You just do 0.
I'm going to get Where's Waldo, but if I go up here and I add Hackers,
Yeah, but couldn't you always put 2 because that's always going to be the
right,
third?
that's what I'm saying, it's still the third book. It's just that the book has changed. But a problem with doing any kind of hard coding like this, what if my list only has one book in it? Okay,
Oh, yeah.
let's try this. Don't change yours. I'm just going to do this real quick. Now how many elements are in my list? 1. Index out of range. So that's the bad thing whenever you hard code values.
Would it be out of range if you did -1?
No, that would actually be fine. It should actually print the same name twice. But if you want the third book, what you should do is check the length. If length is 2 or more, then print the third book, or else say, I'm sorry, we only have 2 books in our collection. Actually, let's fix that. I like that idea. Let's fix that.
Sorry, guys.
So we want the third book. The third book was 2, correct?
Wait, so we're doing.
Y'all need to
last
do this.
book?
I think this is a great idea. So our books, just comment out your other ones. Don't delete them. And change it to a 2. So now when you run it, it should crash. Should crash beautifully. And Nick's out of range. Everybody's crashing. Come on, type faster, people. Jeez. Everybody crashing?
No.
You're not crashing.
Mine's not
Yours isn't either?
Mine's
Do you have a 2 here?
doing
And do you only have 1 book up here? Did you comment out both of these?
Yeah, I put the
didn't make
first
the
book in
list.
brackets.
Yeah, I didn't.
You have to comment out both, or else your list is going to have more than 1.
People are forgetting brackets on Tom Sawyer.
Oh, yeah, and you got to put the bracket up on Tom Sawyer.
Oh, that's lost.
Good catch. Sorry, I told you not to follow me, but I like his thinking here. So is everybody crashing now?
Yeah.
We're all getting the same error, index out of bounds. Now the funny thing is, if we were writing this in C, we'd be totally fine with it. How would it work in C but not this language? Anybody know why? Well, in Java, in Python, they're called strongly typed languages. What it did was it looked, how big is books? I want this, it errors out because there's no 2 elements. In C, what it would have done is it would print out Tom Sawyer as the first book. Then it would have realized each element in the list is so long, maybe like 32 bytes in size. So it would go over 2 memory locations of 32 bytes and literally print whatever's in memory.
Oh.
It could be a password, it could be a login credentials. That's why we have a lot of issues with code. A lot of code's written in languages like that who don't care. You can tell it to print the 827 element, and it literally figure out how big in memory the elements are and go over 827 places and print them. And what you could do is you can actually find out on some operating systems where certain things are stored in memory. So then what you could do is you could write a program that does something like this, but knows to go over so many spaces in memory or so many back in memory, in other words, a minus number, to print out an admin password, print out login credentials, print out whatever. Very, very scary stuff. The newer languages don't support it because they've been fixed. But C is still around. C++ is still around. There's a lot of them still around. So yeah, it's kind of scary that they work still. Okay, so we need to fix this. So how are we going to fix this? We are going to bring up Word. We can do this all as a group. That's fine. Y'all don't need to do this. And I need a flow chart. Tell me how am I going to fix this. What type of symbol am I going to use to check how many values? Natalie? Anybody? Diamond, an if statement. We need to check something because we're trying to print 2. 2 doesn't exist. So let's print a diamond. There it is, a diamond. Okay, let's add some text to it. Can I add text? What should this say?
Links of books greater than 1.
if length of books is greater than 1, and I'll make this larger so y'all can read it. Okay, maybe not that large. Or that one. Okay, so if the length of books is greater than 1, what are we going to do?
Print the book.
So we're going to print. What type of symbol is that?
Right.
What type of symbol is for input output?
Parallelogram.
Parallelogram, exactly. So we are going to have a print. Let's put it right here. We're going to say insert text, print books 2. Okay. Now what am I missing? An arrow. Well, we're not doing the star. We're just working on this part. You are correct, though. We should have had a start. But we're just working on solving this. So I'm going to take an arrow. I'm going to go from here to this guy. Okay? Now, this arrow, what else do I need with the arrow?
True.
What now? I need a true. Let me get a weight here so it's really big. So I need to insert a text box. Insert text box, there it is. I'm going to say, come on. Is it there?
It didn't work. Cause it's trying to get you to pick.
Can you double click on that, create a text box?
Oh, can I? Let's try that.
Like next to it.
Right click. Text box.
Am I missing it? How about right click here?
Just double click with the left.
Oh, I guess I can. Okay, I'm going to double click on the right now. Yeah, just double click. We'll say yes. Yeah, we're going to make this one big. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Now what if there's not enough books? I want to print something saying you're done. Or you don't have enough books.
No.
So what symbol would I use to print that out?
The same thing.
Yeah, the same thing. I would use a parallelogram over here somewhere. This is there are not enough books to handle your request at this time. Please check back later.
You're so extra.
Got the respect for you.
You didn't like that? Come on, that was perfect.
Great.
Alright, there's not enough books to handle your request. Please check back later. Okay, now what do I need?
That's my bank.
I need another line. So now I'm going to come from here, and I'm going to go over to this guy right here. Oh, that's right, I'm in Word. Word doesn't have the auto join. No wonder. I was wondering why it wasn't doing it.
Where does the auto join?
It does?
Yeah.
It does.
Mine does.
Mine doesn't.
Oh, wait,
She's
no.
working on the Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, it doesn't auto, you know what I'm talking about, that auto hook to it? No. So, whenever you have a decision symbol, what are our only two options?
Huh?
Whenever we have a decision symbol like this,
Yeah.
we only get two options, correct?
1 or 0.
Yeah.
1 or 0. True or false? Yes or
If
no?
you did a LF.
Then what you would have is no, and that could go down to another decision symbol.
Okay.
You know, or
Okay, I
without
get
even the no yet, you could literally just have this decision go to another decision.
Okay.
So basically, if we do not have one, we could go to another decision symbol. Else, if it's Tuesday, you know, whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
I just
Yeah, you could have one decision linked to another decision linked to another. That's how you do if, else if, elif, whatever. But you can't have more than one, because, I mean, you're asking a question. It's like, is it raining? It is or it isn't. Don't say, well, technically, no. So my stepson does it. Well, technically, no. It's either raining or it's not. It might rain in 5 minutes, but is it raining right now? See the deal? Okay. So that's why whenever you write these, two options and only two options. I'm trying to remember some of the stuff I looked at on y'all's stuff. I don't remember who did it, but get on or off, and it's true or false, 1 or 0. Okay?
I don't remember how I did mine.
I don't remember. So I try to grade them all at the same time. So, but okay. So now we need to implement that thing I just deleted. Crap. So what, we're going to put an if statement. If what?
If length of books greater than 1.
Length of books is greater than 1.
I miss curly brackets, guys.
Then what?
Print.
Actually, we don't need to print at the
Wait,
moment.
So are we getting rid of the last book one and making it the third book?
Well, I don't know. We haven't got there far yet. What if that's false? Because that's a true statement now. If it's greater than 1, do this.
Else.
How do I do else?
Go back into the
Else.
insufficient funds.
Okay, so did I solve the problem?
Yes,
Let's try. No.
because you put the thing outside of it, so it doesn't know whether or not.
So how do I fix it?
You have to print inside the if instead of outside.
Okay, so you're saying take this print statement,
You need to make,
that,
Yeah, because you can't print it out because it's not testing whether it's in there or not.
sorry, we're currently out of the book, Messages Good Computer Book, Tom Sawyer. So I think I should probably take the first book and put it up here. Don't you agree?
Yeah, mine's different.
Hold on.
Then we could say, last book. Sorry, we currently only have 1 book. We currently only, okay, I want it to tell me, sorry, we currently only have how many books? I want that to be dynamic.
So just do the books minus
well,
1.
they have, currently have, end your quotations, and then put a comma, and put book, length book,
Or you
say
could,
how many books you have.
couldn't you just do the books in the parentheses, the squares minus 1? Oh no, that print out the name of the book one.
Yeah, we'll print out the name. Yeah, but
So would you have to do the length minus 1?
Print,
like that.
Minus 1.
Let's try it. Sorry, we only have 0 books
Oh, I guess you don't have to do the minus 1?
because length doesn't
Oh yeah.
start at 0. Currently only have 1 what? 1 tree?
1 book.
Oh, 1 book. Okay. I don't like that colon there. We need to get rid of that colon. I know you guys are like, stop changing it.
Trying to catch up on the first day.
I used I.
So is anyone giving up on keeping up with me? Y'all are hoping I just put my code up there at the end of class. Alright. So did this work? What are we trying to print out? Is it the 3rd book or the 2nd book?
3rd book.
Okay, so let's add a 2nd book to our list. I need the name of a book. What book does someone read?
the alphabet of manliness.
Took what?
Mini long timer.
It's hilarious if you've ever read it.
That's my elbow.
How spell Manly
Print
does?
it off inside.
It's an I instead of D.
Or you put hunting the jackal.
Like this?
No,
No,
we're
just copy
MANL.
that and post it
I.
and then delete it. This one?
Yeah, let's test it. Still got a problem. We failed. So what are we trying to print out? Okay, let's look at our code. We're trying to print out which book is this right here. What are we printing out right here?
This third book.
The third book. Then why are we checking if we have more than one?
Because if you only have two books, then you couldn't. Because that's the second. Oh, I guess.
So you want a 2 in there, don't you?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Good choice.
Link this up.
Okay, now we need, what do we need now? We need one more book to test this thing. Need another book name. Hopefully not something that's so weird. Somebody else pick a book.
Frankenstein.
Hunting the jackal.
You already picked one.
The alphabet of men.
Frankenstein?
Yeah, I think that's right.
What?
I think that's right.
Whoa, it worked! So let's add one more to make sure it's still working. Need another book. This side of the room. Give me a book name.
The power of one.
The Power of One. Of One. That's not the circle, is it? It's not what the circle was based off of, was it?
No, it's actually about this guy growing up in Africa and then becoming the welterweight champion of the world.
Ah, cool. Y'all see the circle with Tom Hanks?
No, not yet.
Very disappointed.
What?
That is that ending sucks so bad. It's like, and where's the rest of the movie? They literally just stopped.
What movie is it?
The Circle, Tom Hanks. Very good premise. I like how it was going, and it ended. We're like, no. So, it seems to be working now.
Oh, wait.
Okay? Everybody okay with that? No.
No.
Oh, it's in that.
So I'm assuming you want to look at this stuff. Maybe.
I just want to see where it all went.
You said the power of one.
Yes.
Doesn't matter the name. Just put it in any book.
O-N-E?
You can just put a number 1.
Yeah, whichever one.
You could. You could.
My last
Oh,
book
you're
is
Mr.
still
Hoodesby.
Frankenstein.
What's the last thing after the Elian books? It just says book. Oh, okay.
Remember, so it prints out last book. Sorry, we currently only have book. Or books. So I'm going to put books.
Whenever you run it, it's Frankenstein.
Yeah, I did something different.
What now?
I don't know what I did wrong.
You didn't follow along?
No,
Type
don't.
exactly what I typed.
Twilight. I really like.
Whenever you run yours, is Frankenstein the last book that you get?
It looks really weird.
Should be. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, mine is not working. I hate this. Why line's too long and I can't scroll over.
Put on 2 lines. Oh, it'll be a paragraph between it, though. You can assign it to a variable and then print the variable.
Oh, mine is working right. I just wasn't paying
Oh.
attention to myself.
When you run your code, do you get the brackets and the sub-list?
I only get it for the sub list because we're actually printing the list.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay? Everybody got that? Come on. Do it. While we're waiting on someone to catch up, Thursday and Friday, the no classes, school is actually open. So do you feel like you're getting gypped today by
No.
not getting a day off? Technically, we missed Martin Luther King Day for the Thursday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday people. My question is, we could take Thursday off, but it has to be a majority rule. How many people would not like to come to class in this class on Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay, I was.
Give me an option. Do you want to have class Wednesday? Yes or no?
No.
No.
Yeah, is this
No,
a trick
we're
question?
no. It's not
No,
trick
because,
question.
because your other class came to class when we didn't, so it would even out. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying.
Do you wanna have class?
Do you want to have class on Wednesday?
No.
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 Yes. Are you kidding me?
I don't care either way. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be here Thursday and Friday. But we were discussing it downstairs how since we're closed Thursday and Friday, it feels like it's gypped to the Monday Wednesday class because they're not getting a day off. But we started on a Tuesday instead of a Monday, didn't we? Didn't we? Not Martin Luther King. We had some weird holiday at the
Yeah.
beginning.
But still.
Do we not get Monday off too?
No, we do not get Monday off.
Which
All we
Wednesday
get
are you
off
talking
is
about?
Thursday.
We get
This
Thanksgiving week off.
My God.
I'm ready for Thanksgiving.
You guys are making this so difficult.
Okay, if you don't want class Wednesday, raise your hand. How about that?
I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, how many people want class on Wednesday?
Can do both.
Like 1, 2 of you?
How many people are indifferent?
I don't care. I'm going to be here. I will be here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm always here. And no one comes to visit me.
I just need this recursion.
It looks like most of everybody would rather not have class.
How about, that's a good point. I will not cover any material on Wednesday. I will not require you to come. But if you want to come and work on your recursion, we can kind of do it as a group.
Definitely don't like it.
Will that work?
That's gonna make me all wanna come.
But if you show up with nothing, you need to come up with something. I mean, you need to be working on it. I mean, don't show up with, okay, I'm on line 1, let's go. Okay?
Well, obviously we already have the part from the one we did in class.
Yeah, but you need to add at least a little bit. At least a comma.
I got my different colors.
A comma, just a comma.
I'll
That's
show
it.
us the start.
That's all I've gotten. is
At
the
least
colors.
you should be able to have a list of colors, stuff like that.
I didn't do a list. I just random
Did we
So
just
after
RGB.
start with a
decide
circle,
today?
then what?
Oh, you did art right now? Did it
Yeah.
work?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'd like to see that. So Wednesday, no new material, no in-class project.
With the
But
colors,
if
yeah.
you come, we can work on recursion stuff. We can do more practice on recursion. We can help work on your
I had
program.
to figure
Sound
out
good?
what it's like.
Yeah.
So you
just
have to
assigned
up
this
here,
assignment
you
today?
have to do turtle dot
Oh,
color mode
number 10, you already know enough to do number 10.
And then I took the random int. We
All right.
did that.
So everybody okay with
That's
this?
just the limit, I think, for RGB.
Okay, I want to know, can we type, okay, we do not have enough time to finish the last part because you guys are very slow at typing.
It's because you keep changing stuff.
It's
I
just
like to
right in the
change
middle.
stuff.
You're, oh, wait, I don't want this. So then we have
But
to
isn't it fun to change it up?
No.
No, we're right in the middle of
October
typing.
2nd, we did the
It's
random.
fun to make it do stuff.
And so I just
So,
took the random int.
next
and then
class
took the
period,
3 for-
Okay, next Monday, we're going to finish this up. But for today, what I would like you to submit is a picture of your code.
Picture.
Just a snapshot of some of your code. At least needs to show like this section. Or more. You can show all of it for all I care.
Because it's like the range.
Okay? For today's in class, submit a picture showing me you're working on this.
Okay.
Okay? Of code similar to this. It doesn't have to be exact. So just a picture showing that you got some code in there. And then Monday, what we're going to do is we're actually going to learn how to read input directly off of the web. So extract data off the web and display it. So we're going to do that. We just don't have time today. Because Summer had me changing my program up too much. Yeah. It's fun.
Cancel.
Starbuzz coffee.
Yeah, we're going to do Starbuzz Coffee on next Monday.
We're getting
Alright.
Starbucks.
Wait,
Okay.
Just kidding.
but we still add this to that.
Just add it to one that says, I think, lists and Starbuzz, or Starbuzz and
Okay.
lists or something.
Okay, Starbuzz and book list.
Yeah, just put in list.
Okay.
You know, I've never, see, we stopped at Starbucks once, and I think my wife bought a muffin, but I've never spend a penny in there.
It's over.
I've never had coffee in my
I
life.
spent like over $100. I don't get coffee.
Are we gonna have more than one submission in that same Dropbox then?
No, I'll rename it. So you'll do Starbucks next time.
Okay.
Yeah, today you're only submitting one. So what do you get in Starbucks if you don't get coffee?
Iced chai tea latte.
That's coffee.
That's not
They
coffee.
also have like,
chai
there's
tea?
this one thing
How is
that's
that
like,
coffee?
I just heard latte. My bad.
What?
it's like apple cider and then you caramel in it and they call it like the apple spice. It's really good.
I have a bottle of water in my refrigerator, which is amazing.
I don't drink
Oh
coffee.
yes, I have
And
the
it's free.
colors way limited, and now I realize.
You know, I
that
went to
just-
KFC the
it
other
makes
day,
the color so much different.
and
You
I
should
asked
put
for
it
some
in-
food and I asked for a cup of water. They no longer get cups of water. They're like, nope, too many people are stealing sodas. So if you want water, you got to buy a cup
What?
for the same
That's
exact
my favorite
price.
thing. You go
I
to
said, well, I
Qdoba,
will
you
never
just
be
have
back.
this
Thank you very
290
much,
card,
and I
you get
left.
a free drink.
So
At Qdoba, you get a free
KFC right here on 15th and Air Depot.
Wait,
Too many people are stealing soda from us, and if you want water now, you have to buy a cup for the regular price and put whatever
That's
you want.
ridiculous. You go through drive-through at McDonald's, you go count free water, they'll give it to you.
I always get free water. I don't like soda. The only time I ever get soda is at Sonic. They force me to.
I love
So
Force you? I love my
I do a million mystery shops for Sonic, so I'm always having the right
That's
there.
why you go to Chick-fil-A and get the 32-ounce water cup there for free.
I'm so excited about these random colors.
All right, so we're gonna look. I want to see your random colors money. Okay, so that's all we're gonna do today. We don't have time to
I'm
finish.
gonna do that random colors. You're gonna do the random colors?
All right.
I wanna do the RGB. Yeah, I wanna just